Hey everybody, welcome back. We are doing a character review on She-Hulk. Gonna dive into the stats, look at her abilities a little bit, talk about the T4s. I talked a decent bit about her on the Envoy video, saying I was a little bit underwhelmed. Personally, I'll admit, I have not even bought her yet. I'll probably get her mainly for content creation reasons. I'd say in the next day or so. I haven't even opened any Red Star orbs. Her stats are pretty impressive, and that's probably the main reason most of you guys are here anyway. We'll definitely go over those, look at it. There's going to be something I talk about with her focus that really makes her kind of a top 3 tune stat-wise in the game, which is kind of nuts if you think about it. So anyway, let's check out She-Hulk.
Bring me WolverThor!
Alright, what we like to do first is look at her abilities. The basic is called Gamma Slam. It's an attack primary target for 260% damage and apply defense down. It's kind of a symbiote Spider-Man-esque. Plus, when you, well, not plus, but when you apply T4s to it, it increases by, was it 60%, which is actually, percentage-wise, a pretty good boost. Where it ranks, we'll look at that later when I jump into the whole T4 rankings with Yeti and Punk. But it's not bad. Very slow character though, so if she uses this, you know, second, fourth, fifth type turns, you know, 3 times in her first 5 moves, I might consider that one if it's ranked pretty high because she'll be using it a lot. Next up is her special. Attack primary target for 280% damage plus reduce speed bar by 40%. That's a really nice speed bar reduction, and this is a first turn ability. Reduce speed bar for adjacent targets by 30%. Unfortunately, again, she's a very slow character, so this is going to throw off second turn type mechanics with the team, but you know, you really like that speed bar reduction for any type of character. Additionally, gain taunt and heal for 20% of this character's max health. The T4s here increases damage by 60% again, and give the heal an additional 10%. Again, not too bad. It's a turn 1 ability. Actually, it could be turn 1 or turn 2, depending what you want to do with her. Considering she's going to be potentially on defense, this is a turn 2 because the AI is going to use the ult first. So I do like where this falls, considering on the or if you use her on war defense with Fantastic Four, which again I do not promote because Fantastic Four is a great offense team. So unless I start seeing these guys just have continual defensive wins, not just one win and then someone beats them, I'm not going to promote these guys to be on defense. So, but the turn 2 taunt for her is nice, especially when you consider that Invisible Woman on her second turn is going to go ahead and make her invis, give her the taunt, and then when she gets to her turn again, she's going to be able to keep that taunt on for an extended amount of time and keep people focused on her. Next up is her ult. It's called Control Rage. There's 2 different scenarios here depending on if you're on war defense or not. If you're not in war defense, you attack primary target for 300% damage and apply stun. You apply taunt to the most injured enemy. T4s bump it by 60%. On war defense, you attack the target with the most damage. So instead of the primary target, you attack the target with the most damage. Same percent, but you ignore taunt. So instead of primary target, you attack the person with the most damage, and you can also ignore taunt. You will also apply stun, and then you still apply taunt to the most injured enemy. I want to show this real quick because this does read a little goofy. You know, when you read it, you're like, wait, is this 2 attacks? You do the first one, then on war defense, you get the second one? No. In war defense, you just do the second one, and I'll show it real quick. All right, shout out to Jason Lum who shot this. And so I'm at 57 seconds into the fight here, and I'm just going to kind of play it so that you can see, and I'll walk through it real briefly. So Colossus goes, and I've got this about half speed. You'll see there goes She-Hulk. She attacked Phoenix and then puts the taunt on Beast, who was in fact the most injured. So jumping back there, again, you got Beast most injured, right? You can see he's got the lowest HP. She-Hulk goes at Phoenix, who I presume obviously has the highest damage, and then applies the taunt on Beast. Then Invisible Woman goes. So that's it. And actually, what's interesting about that, so you get an assist now here from, so the primary target was actually Colossus. So what you see is Colossus is targeted. You won't be able to see what this team targets, but she gets an assist now from Mr. Fantastic. She-Hulk attacks the most damage, applies the taunt, Then you get the assist now from Invisible Woman on the primary target, who was Colossus. So that's how that ability works in a nutshell. So hopefully seeing that kind of made sense. I know when I first read this, I was confused about that, so I wanted to show you something real quick. And again, the T4 is another 60% damage increase. Not too bad, considering it's going to be a first or second turn ability. Then let's jump over to her passive. This one's called Court Order. On turn, heal self for 10% of this character's max health. On stealth, gain taunt and heal self for 30% of this character's max health. Gain 10% damage per charge. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there first. The healing, that's self-explanatory. The on stealth gain taunt, that's really all about what's going on with Invisible Woman on when you use, or when the AI, I guess, if you've got her on defense, uses her special, which will be second turn. So that's when she gets the taunt. And if she's taking any damage, she's healing herself for 30%, which is great. The second part of this passive is the damage or the charge aspect, which is mentioned in the first part. When an enemy attacks this character or a Fantastic Four ally, you get charged up to a maximum of 5. And as you saw before, that the damage increases with the charges. So as the Fantastic Four is getting hit, it's like, great, okay, she stacks that up. On max charge, transfer all negative effects from self and each Fantastic Four ally to the enemy with the most damage, which is pretty nice. So like in the video we just saw, Phoenix actually would have been that character, or Dark Phoenix when she'd res, and hopefully by that time, that's when she'd get it and she'd just take everything and transfer it over. Now, X-Men typically aren't a heavy, debuff team, but, you get the idea that you could transfer it to that character. And then attack the enemy with the most damage for 180% damage, plus all adjacent targets for 130% damage, and then you remove all charge. So it's that passive level damage, which you really like. And then on ward defense, you gain 20% damage for self and all Fantastic Four allies, which, again, you love. So T4 is here. You get the additional 5% on the self-heal, turn self-heal, which is not bad. On a slow character, I don't love that. On Venom, it was, okay, maybe debatable at 5% because he might go so often with the speed ups from symbiotes and raids or something. Here, I'm kind of like, I don't really like that. The damage increase for this max charge situation is additional 20% under both circumstances of primary and adjacent. Really, the winner here, in my opinion, is on war defense. You gain the 10% damage for self and all Fantastic Four allies. That's probably why you want this T4 if you're doing this team on war defense, which I still can endorse, even with seeing some videos like you saw that have them winning against X-Men. If it's a 2-tap, okay, fine, okay, so X-Men got some out. I just take a trash team, throw it at it, and then a better team, but whatever. So anyway, let's go check out her stats. Okay, so I've got a gigantic spreadsheet that ranks all of the stats in the game per category, per character, at a certain baseline. That baseline is level 75, 7 yellow stars, 4 red stars, T14, 25% Stark Tech, and passive level 4 based off of the stats on msf.gg. So She-Hulk here, she actually comes in as the 21st ranked character in the game for overall stats. Not too bad. Actually, it's pretty solid. We'll see how that ranks out as far as the important stats. Sometimes you get high on ones or medium, and it doesn't matter. The average rank for her is 49.8, which is pretty good. You see around Mr. Sinister and Ironheart. It's pretty typical for new characters to be around this range or better. So HP, self-heal, that's important. Ranks in at number 10, I like that. 200, just short of 250k at that baseline. Damage, you also want high. Pretty good. Granted, she's a slow character, so she's not going to go a lot, but when she does, she's going to hit pretty hard. 17, 284, ranked at 24th. Armor, you also want high, given she's going to be a tank. Ranked 33rd, which is pretty good. Same as Mr. Sinister. So, okay, so if your Sinister can, granted, he's got his giant heal, but it comes in at 10,504. And the focus is really low here. So you've got 5522. This mainly matters when she does that, the passive, where she kind of takes all of the negative effects from her Fantastic Four allies and throws them on someone with the most damage. But I'm going to jump on that in a second. But note that that 90th rank really kind of drops her, if you think about it. Resistance very high, which as it should be as a Hulk type character, 8118. She's ranked 12th. Speed is atrocious at 88 and 130. It's so bad. I hope whatever team she ends up on, I don't think it's Fantastic Four long term. I think it's a temporary gap or stopping point, whatever you want to call it. I hope that team helps speed her up under certain circumstances. Almost like a, Strife type speed up where she gets taunt right away or something like that. And then, like I said, the overall stat ranking there is 49.8. She, Mr. Sinister solid, Hela thinks so, Emma Frost, kind of that range, also Bloodstone Carnage. But what I want to focus on is the focus at 55-22. Now, one thing to remember is Mr. Fantastic here, who I've got in the background, his passive, for science. Let's take away that T4. 50% focus and resistance for self and Fantastic Four allies. So you get a 50% increase there. Okay, so let's jump back to her stats for a second because I want to play with that for 1 minute. So I'm not going to mess with the resistance because it's already crazy high. That's going to make her like the most resisted character in the game. Like she's not going to get anything on her. But focus, 55-22. Now I actually did, let's see what it was the math that I did. I did 1.6, so let's just do 1.5 without the T4. So that gives her about 82-83. So when I come back over here, I'm like, all right, what focus is around 82-83? Taskmaster's focus is exactly 82-83. So that means her focus rank would, let's just put it at 24. I'll manually input that. It was 90. She's now at 24. So let's see what that does to the overall average stat ranking here. Jumps it up to 38.8. It's like, all right, well, where did that fall on this list? Well, you got to scroll up. 38.8 is before Ultron and right after Doc Ock. And if you add, let's just for fun, add number 1 to resistance because we know that's going to happen. Now she's ranked 37 and it's still just after Doc Ock. So, not too bad. That's pretty good stat-wise. It's kind of like, okay, she gets to be the 3rd ranked toon in the game if you're factoring in that passive boost. Now, I typically don't like to do that because you could do that with all these different characters all over the place, but it gives you an indication that the one I like to do it when there's one stat that's going to be directly affected that is going to be there and see how it kind of ranks up. So her stats, they're actually insanely good, except for her speed. So consider her speed so low and she still gets that top or close top 3 spot. It's solid. So anyway, let's do the outro. So like I mentioned, I still don't see Fantastic Four as a great war defense team. We'll see what happens this week. A lot of people are going to start going at it. The video that I showed briefly is actually showing the X-Men losing that match. And X-Men are a great war offense team. My question is how easy was this Fantastic Four defense to beat after that X-Men attack? If it was really easy, cool. Give me a week, throw a hand at them then and get the tap in, and then finish with whatever decent war offense team. Now, if Fantastic Four can have some sustain and maybe get me 3-4 defensive wins, that's a different story. Then I'm like, okay, let's take a serious look at She-Hulk here. Let's see if she can actually make Fantastic Four go on to war defense. But again, Fantastic Four is such a good war offense team, I'm still not sure about it, because war is about offense right now. And it typically is who can beat who quicker. How many war offense teams do you have to throw at somebody? Let's do that. So that's what I got to say about She-Hulk. Again, I haven't bought her. I haven't opened any Red Star orbs or anything like that. It might be a mistake. Typically, when you skip a character like that, it is. Though I kind of did the same thing with Beast, and I'm not upset about it. He's still at like 400 power. He's got his moments. Very selective. And I feel like She-Hulk's a similar character. So we'll see. Come tell me how I'm right or wrong or, whatever. Description below. It's got a link to Discord. Come chat there. Or if you just want to comment below, that's great too. Hammer down on that like button, subscription button, notification bell, all that kind of stuff. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.